Hello guys, it is that Panda guy. I'm here again with another video, and today we are looking at some G1. It is the first video of this little series we're going to do. It's going to start off as a 1v3, and I think in the next video you should see it become a 1v4 as, things start to change, but it does become kind of intense, and you kind of see here as I overview the map and just show you guys how the whole situation is looking right off the start. I am sorry that the sides are cut in. I did save this from my computer, and I didn't actually know that it would do the side thing, so I am kind of apologetic that it does kind of cut off the sides here and it does look a little bit smaller on the screen. Hopefully you guys can work with me on that. But yeah, this one was from my computer, and I just had I had a lot of actual computer footage this island, so you are going to be seeing this a little bit now and then. It's going to be chopping back between like footage I had on my phone. But you guys get the point, right? This was kind of an intense island. Right when we went to the middle, it was BTW kind of working up the left side towards ruins, trying to help support ANCS in the field, and ANCS coming right down the middle up to ruins as well, and just really putting up the pressure. And we were basically trying to connect to ruins so that these guys wouldn't be able to push us back, because the thing is, we had to isolate how many tower fights we were going to have, and we didn't want ANCS on too many towers, as we know they have a lot more mega whales, and if they do have a lot more towers they could connect to, not only can they rally more, they can swarm a lot more, and this would just force us to play a little bit more defensive. And the thing is, in a situation like this, you really have to be able to play a lot more offensive, right? And that's exactly what we did, because we really have to play offensive here. And the thing is, I think this is a common situation I see where let's say you're fighting so and so many opponents. I saw this from Boone actually a while ago, right? And basically what ended up happening is Boone was getting pushed by ANCS and HMB from other sides, and they went defensive mode, right? And the thing is, you got to understand, Boone had no way to win that. They didn't have enough troops, etc., right? And that was pretty obvious. And that's kind of the situation that we're in now. And even if we are able to put a lot more pressure on these enemies, even if we're able to trade really, really well, the thing is, we can't just allow ourselves to only play defensive, because we have to go on the offense. We have to make sure that we're able to make pushes, we're able to make plays, and that's exactly what we do this island. And it was kind of amazing how we went for some insane plays. So what you see is we actually start building to the mountain. I don't know if I mentioned that, but we build into the mountain so that these guys can only, touch so many towers. We also connect to ruins. So, obviously the only other way to actually touch us really is going around ruins. And I think honestly ANCS could have maybe had put a lot more pressure if they had actually built around ruins and they didn't have somebody else actually holding that area. But maybe they had been concerned themselves about spreading into too many towers. That's the only other guesstimation I can make. And you'll see actually on the field here, they were trying to stop us from connecting to the ruins by pushing the field, sitting on the field, and we had to blitz the field real quick, clear out these marches. And BTW is still coming from the bottom left, and it is a struggle. The amount of resources we're burning in this first fight is absolutely insane, and the amount of numbers our whales actually put up is kind of crazy. So this is the most, this is the least we can do, trying to help them out with pushing these fields and making way, because this is how we're going to start off a Long Island. And honestly, these builds were very crucial to actually making sure we survive this whole island. And soon you're gonna actually see RPG pushing up from behind. They're gonna start putting pressure on our flank. And I will say this, as much as I do say that, RPG, I say this a lot, but RPG compared to actual 9 billion alliances, I think the issue is, like I said, they have a lot more farmers and they're less active. But I will say they have people like, LeBron, for example. LeBron is an amazing fighter. Bay is an amazing fighter. And then you also have a lot of LeBron's alts. And I will say that they were best for filling rallies and such, which put a lot of pressure, costed us a lot of troops. But then they also were swarming with him. And I will say the trades on those swarms were really bad for, RPG, because his alts, although, they're not weak, they just weren't built for swarming, right? And the thing is, these rallies were hitting really hard, and they have some insane players, and we're also just split really hard. So we have some of our main players kind of defending towers around ANCS, while, we would like to have some, actual garrison captains defending down there. We have to put some of our weaker players in those garrisons, which just makes the trades even worse. And, trading on those towers was really painful. And we had to use a lot of ports this island to kind of port back and forth, in different areas. And I will say, there are pros and cons to actually isolating and, kind of splitting fights into different areas. Because the thing is, I think the biggest issue for us was field presence with each of the allies, right? Like, whereas, normally I would agree that let's say that we were maybe defending our village, right? Let's say that we just decided to turtle down, defend our village, and all these alliances had built up to our village and they were putting pressure on our towers. In this case, isolating the fights into like a small area is really good. Not only are we able to just reinforce easier, we also just don't need to teleport as much. We're in a much smaller area, like I said, so reinforcing these towers is much easier, instead of having to set two people on each tower in different areas, for example, to just solo fill. Whereas, like I was saying, maybe around a village or something, we have a lot more people who are able to just maintain specific towers, and there are less towers you actually have to be worried about. Whereas where we're fighting in this island, it was really complicated because we actually have to get to the point where we push BTW from behind. And the thing is, I think like pushing them up mid was really hard, not only because they are strong, right? They can fill these towers for quite a while. The issue is freaking like ANCS would push the field, right? Or you'd even have Fox or maybe even RPG start putting pressure on a tower from behind. And this put us into a really rough spot. And it was just like, what could we do? What could we freaking do? So we had to push them from actually behind. Not only this was to stop ANCS from being able to, just help with field support since they were so far, we could also just cut them off completely by their village, which is what we end up doing. And you won't see it in this video, but honestly, the play was kind of insane. I really love Nom because, I'll be like, for example, they were pushing for our flank, and I was like, yo, I think we should build to actually protect our village because we're going to get pressured soon. And instead of going completely defensive, Nam said, no shot. He was basically like, no, we're going to attack. We have to attack, right? And it worked out really well, actually going on the offensive there. And I feel like Nam is always like a step ahead of me. I like to think of myself as like somewhat of a smart player. Like I generally am not like stupid, right? But when it comes to maybe thinking ahead to that point, right? Like I'll usually want to go defensive before I go offensive, right? And that kind of gives me like more of a mindset of, maybe I should try to look at, maybe trying to reach their village before they reach ours. Small things like that, but they really do make a big difference in battle like this. And it really saved us and made us able to make like a play to actually cut off BTW and continue holding mid for a while. I will say ANCS put up a lot less pressure than I expected. They put it up for, I'd say, the first day mostly, and then they started just sitting back. So we took advantage of this and started putting pressure on our other enemies, just trying to push them back and maybe, make as much of a difference as we could for the end results. Because, if we could cut off these other enemies, maybe get rid of them, we'd maybe have a better result around ruins if we could even make it that far, or we would just have a better result overall by, kind of cutting down our other competition. Because it's kind of hard to take on a 4v1 here if we have to take pressure from four angles at once. And at the time we thought it would actually be a 3v1, which was much more favorable. But then when Fox came in and occupied mid, we knew that BTW would probably give up mid control anyways, and they would maybe just focus more on our flank. We would have two people focusing on our flank, we'd have two people focusing on our mid, and then we'd kind of just be in a really rough situation, spreading ourselves really thin with garrison captains and stuff. So the best we could do was maybe cut off BTW, kind of stop them from spreading us too thin, because that's what ends up happening in the last day of island raid. We can't really maintain towers because we don't have enough troops, we don't have enough garrison captains, and our trades become bad because the garrison captains we have on certain towers just isn't as good as it should be. I'll also say shout out to our enemies. They put up a pretty good fight. This was really tough, especially I would say RPG. Like I said earlier, Bay and LeBron are in some insane whales, and they were putting up a lot more pressure than I think should have been, right? Like these guys were going crazy on our towers, and they were forcing us to actually exert a lot of energy into burning out LeBron and Bay, who were just rallying and swarming those towers, and they were trading well at that. So it was honestly a struggle. And the thing is, we couldn't even pop their towers if we wanted. If we tried to rally them, we would just be trading. Even if we traded even, right, or positive or whatever, it wasn't worth it because we were so limited on troops. And when we're fighting, let's say, I think we went in with 14 billion might versus maybe I think it was like 47 billion. And obviously, like I said, it was a 3v1 to start, but you guys get the point, right? We were at such a huge troop disposition that even if we're trading well on these towers, it's not worth what we're losing, right? Unless we're trading. I mean, like extremely well, and we're able to get a result down. And the thing is, we aren't able to make a push to actually push RPG back very far. So the most we could do is cut them off a tower and then, kind of continue back on maybe BTW or focusing on ANCS or Fox or whatever. The thing is, RPG, I don't think it was worth pushing them to their village because they only have, a few key players who were able to put a pressure. But even then, that's still enough to kind of force us to exert some energy into this corner of the map. And it's such a hard situation to be in. That being said, some of these swarms were absolutely insane. They would have some of their normal players swarming the towers, and you actually see it in some of these reports, and it was kind of disgusting. But you'll see a lot of Bay and LeBron, like they were putting up some insane pressure, and I just keep mentioning them, but it was kind of insane, like because I didn't expect RPG to try to go as ham as they did this island, and this could have honestly this might have been like one of our biggest issues, honestly, and I expected them to have the least impact, but I feel like they maybe were kind of the most active, right? Throughout the whole island, to me at least. And yeah, they were, I don't know, man. They were definitely some arch nemesis in the corner of the map though. And now you see some double rallies here. It's ANCS and BTW double rallying. We were actually possibly going to get triple rallied because Fox had built into middle. And there was a three-way connection on this tower right here. And like I said, it would have been possible for them to triple rally, but we did manage to cut off BTW right before this could happen, and we managed to, kind of hold off, and we, got some good zeros in. It was an insane fight. But luckily we did manage to cut that off before they could start triple rallying this tower. Because the thing is, like, for anybody who doesn't know, obviously double rallying is better than one rally, just overall, because you're able to have one of those rallies only taking like counter damage, and that just makes the trades way better on that rally. Although for like Fox's case, even then it was really hard since there is a big gear gap when you kind of consider like how insane some of our players' gear is. You know what I mean? So even if they're running into this tower, if they only have like purple or gold gear, it's still pretty hard for them to take really good trades. That being said, this was kind of insane, freaking 18 billion points. That is insane. I don't know how many like resources we used. We burnt through all our freaking troops this island for the most part. Everybody was willing to die. I gotta give it to all our members, honestly, for just being willing to fight. Because, guys, we went into this island and everybody was discouraged. We all voted to actually skip the island. And then Nam came on Discord. And, everybody respects Nam. He's a good leader. And he was like, guys, we will fight. Even though everybody, already had decided, like, yeah, I guess we can give this up. Nam was like, yeah, I've been, thinking all night and I have plans and I think it's possible to win this island. And everybody was like, we'll just fight. If you want to if you want to go in here going crazy, let's go crazy. And that's what happened. And even though we didn't win, I was surprised, with the results. Like it was honestly amazing, like how crazy this fight was. And overall, this is one of those fights that you can mark down in your, I guess, gaming history. You know what I mean? Because like it's like one of those situations that, I mean, it could happen again, right? But it's like one of those rare situations where you don't think you'll get an opportunity like this. And I feel like we performed really well given the situation we were in, and that just makes it obviously better. Because obviously I think fighting a 4v1 in general, it's not going to be impressive if you can't really put up numbers, can't hold your own. And I feel like we held our own. So I felt freaking happy about this. I think we put up too much pressure on RPG towers early on, by the way. We're kind of limited on troops here. We're going a little bit ham on these towers. And the thing is, like I said, these guys can just fill these towers as long as they really need. They have a lot of LeBron's alts, which are, a lot of 100 mil accounts. And all they do is fill stuff. They'll fill rallies, they'll fill towers. And you see it right there, that baby one account, that is like a T6 account, just filling towers. It's freaking insane. And it's like at this point, there's no reason to actually pop this tower because all it's going to do is fill all game, right? And we should just defend. We should just keep swarming these rallies. The second LeBron and Bay sleep, it's the perfect time for us to strike. And that's what we would do every night. We would wait for them to go to sleep. We would burn their towers down. And then that would kind of give us time to prepare the next time they were, awake and ready to burn our towers again, because then they would have to build and then we would have, enough time to actually react instead of them waking up and just swarming your towers randomly. And then we have our tower pop because we weren't watching it, right? Like overall, it was a really hard situation to be in, and we had to keep putting some energy on RPG every once in a while, and it was really annoying. And, the thing is, I think the biggest issue that ends up happening in this island is we start getting spread too much where we can't actually defend all these other towers, you know what I mean? Because like I said, like we had to start putting like 2 or 3 people in every single tower to just hold down one tower by themselves, by like literally filling it from swarms by themselves. It was so freaking annoying. And it was like we had to use so many ports to actually accomplish this. But yeah, you see here some decent reports. Uh I don't even know how we held on so long. I think this was also due to a lack of ANCS pressure. I think that ANCS could have put more pressure on our towers, but maybe they just didn't want to, throw their troops to the graves. I don't really know why. I feel like they could have traded well because, Pickle over here has some insane gear. Like his armaments and stuff are pretty nasty. So it makes it really hard for us to go for good trades against those rallies. So overall, I mean, they could have put up some insane pressure on us, and I think they maybe just wanted to preserve their energy. I'm not really sure. They did put up a lot of pressure on day 1 and 2, or mostly just day 1. And, like I said, I don't know why we didn't get more pressure, but we did manage to pop some of these key towers that were forcing us to spread a bit thin. So that really helped. And, yeah. I mean, you'll see how the builds actually progress throughout the days. Like, I'll be doing some map overviews for you guys to see how stuff changes. You actually see BTW here building for our flank, and you won't see it in this video, how everything goes. But, it is kind of crazy. I'll try to show a lot more in the next video. And, yeah, I mean, just insane. You see more tower swarms right here. And it's ANCS, actually. I thought it was like it would be RPG. They tried a few times for these towers. The thing is, you see actually Tom here. So it was like one of those towers that we needed a Peterson on, and we were struggling with garrison captains off the bat because I think a lot of people were fighting on the field, and we also were just kind of getting spread really fast, and we had to actually figure out who goes where. Because I think it's better to have our stronger captains actually on ANCS's front, and we have maybe some more, still strong captains on BTW's front, but doesn't need to be as strong because, obviously the pressure they're able to put up is a lot less. And we need to be able to, kind of hold off ANCS's attacks because the trades will just be really violent there. And I mean, you'll see here some of the swarms. Honestly, wasn't as bad as it could have been, but still was a bit painful, especially with like, no Peterson here. And I mean, that's about it to the video. I think, I'll end it here, but I will show you guys in the next video how stuff kind of goes along with BTW coming to our flank and how we kind of make a counterattack. But yeah, I appreciate you guys as always, and I hope you guys have a good day or night. And that is it. Peace out.